Well, the Minister of Education and Training, Buti Manamela, has vowed that in the next 3 months, the National Student Financial Aid Scheme will be stabilised and his department will set in motion a sustainable student funding model and establish a post-school and education training re-engineering task team. So this was part of the department's reform plans, including 6 core objectives that were outlined by Manamela yesterday during his first media briefing as the new Minister of Higher Education and Training. He was appointed after President Cyril Ramaphosa removed his predecessor, Dr. Nobuhle Nkabane, over the scandal around the appointment of the SETA Board Chairpersons. The Minister is here, he's in studio with us to talk more about his reform plans for higher education and the training sector. Good to see you, Minister.
Thank you so much.
Thank
you so much.
I mean, I'm not saying that this is, it's a great honor, but certainly not the ideal situation to be taking over. How have you been handling so far?
Well, I mean, firstly, I had to get to talk to people who are in the sector, so we started speaking to the people in the department. And our key message to them was that we have to get the department working. We spoke to students, we spoke to academics, vice chancellors, principals, organized labor. We spoke to organized business and, some of our quality councils. And some of those institutions and organizations were quite pleased that, in the last few years, they haven't had this relationship with, higher education. So our mission, outside of stabilizing some of the, institutions that were beginning to fracture, is also to rebuild relations with, our social partners. And that's why many of them emphasized the need for some form of social compact akin to what we had in the early days, with the National Council on Higher Education, which was society saying this is what we expect of the education system. So I think from those engagements, so we think we need to move steadfastly in building a single system, where community colleges feed into TVET colleges, into universities, and then into the labor market. But we're also going to be working closely with, basic education, because that's the supply side. But thirdly, we're going to work very closely with business, because they have indicated their interest in, helping us to navigate the ever-changing skills landscape, and so that we can constantly be on par with them and with what they demand. I mean, if you look at newspapers, on a daily basis, and we're going to try and do a deeper study of that, there are adverts of jobs, and then on the other side, we also have now 10%, it probably has increased yesterday, unemployed graduates, so it means that there is something that we need to fix. What kind of graduates are we producing into the market? Are they fitting into jobs? Are they fitting into self-employment? Are they fitting into some form of formal or informal economic activity? So that's basically what we intend to do. And so the next 3 months will be laying the basis for that, to completely think about how do we re-engineer the system. How do we have bigger community colleges, because I think that that's where the potential to absorb the more than 4 million young people who are not in employment, education or training, but also how do we expand our TVET college system so that they are, quantitatively bigger than universities. So that's going to be what we're working on, starting with the next 3 months into 4 years of the term of the government.
There's a lot.
Unity. That's quite a lot,
and I'd love to talk to you about everything, but I can't in the interest of time.
Yeah.
We look at one of the biggest issues that I think that you need to do is restore trust and credibility.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, right now, that's broken.
Yeah.
And you vowed, particularly with your SETAs and with NSFAS, I mean, these are ships without sails right now, and that is the reality.
Yes.
You've promised a transparent process in the appointment of the heads here. You've promised to get these going in the best possible way.
Yes.
This transparency, this update, talk to us about how you're going to get these entities sorted.
Look, so we have asked and have now received advice that I'll be looking at, for instance, in terms of some of the SETAs, which I believe have broken down and that they need intervention. So we'll be looking at that advice, and we'll be making some announcements with regard to those in the next few days. Secondly, I have asked the department to filter through the more than 1,000 applications for 21 SETA chairpersons, and upon getting that report, we will look at who qualifies, and look at the best candidate for all the 21 SETAs moving forward. It is people who, will have to share our vision of integrating the 21 SETAs so that they cooperate and not work in silos, but also deal with issues around governance and accountability, issues around impact. We're going to be looking at their service level agreements. So the people we're going to appoint will have to understand the kind of shift that we want to have impact on, on SETAs. And then thirdly, we are going to be looking into the NSFAS. I had my meeting with them, with the board, and then also with the chairperson and the CEO. They committed that within 60 days, and we've put it now as as 3 months that we will stabilize the National Student Financial Aid Scheme. And when I mean stabilizing,
that's what I want to ask.
Yes.
What does stabilize mean?
So we want to make sure that students have a place to study, a place to stay, and those who have allowances due to them are being paid.
And that's the original mandate.
Yes, that's the mandate,
so
yes.
It went very horribly wrong.
Exactly.
So now to get back on track, and I do hope that this is going to be a fully transparent process.
Yeah. What we shouldn't forget, Leanne, is that the NSFAS on a monthly basis ensures that more than 800,000 students are paid. And yes, this is not without discrepancies, but the majority of students who are beneficiaries of NSFAS are actually paid. And I think the rest of the other students, there's a lot of uncertainty, and those are the people that we need to deal with. And I'm aware that there are challenges with students at the University of South Africa who are the mostly affected. That's not the only institutions, but there are also students who are studying at TVET colleges who are also affected. So we need to sort out those glitches. We need to also, they've already started interviewing people for senior management positions, so that's part of the stabilization process. They've given me a report around the kind of innovation they want to introduce to secure students' data, to secure payments, to clean up people who are being paid by the NSFAS, because there's been a lot of corruption that we have exposed working together with the Special Investigations Unit. But also to finalize issues around the lease, the third party payment. Those are some of the issues that are urgently on the agenda of the board and of the CEO. And that's why I've said that they should address the nation on, and especially students, to address their concerns on what they are going to do, to ensure that we conclude this academic year properly. Yeah. But there are long-term issues with regards to the NSFAS. And those long-term issues means that we were pushed into a situation in 2017 when former president made the announcement, Jacob Zuma made the announcement that there will be fee-free higher education. Now, we need to use the next few months to start discussions around what type of sustainable student funding model do we need to put in place? And we have to think outside of the box, so that, by the time this term ends, we should not have students who are anxious about whether they're going to get funding or not if they qualify. We shouldn't have, the country anxious about, whether our universities are going to be disrupted by strikes and so forth and so on. And that's why one of the things that we announced, and I think this leads me into, part of our future plan, is that the task team that we'll put in place in helping us reimagine and rethink the higher education system, and help us restore and rebuild that trust with society. So
I know you've got future plans, and I know that this is all happening, but at the same time, you're in a you're in a plane that's
Yes.
flying right
Yes.
now. So you've got to keep this plane flying. And the
Yeah.
problem is that students are very, very concerned.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got one message here from one of our viewers. I think her name's Celine. I'm not sure, but it's from her
Yeah.
handle saying, please ask the Minister about temporary registered UNISA NSFAS students. We don't know if we're going to study for this semester or not. There hasn't been any communication from both parties.
Yeah.
This is the problem. This is one of, I imagine, so many.
Yeah.
This shouldn't be happening.
Yes. No, as I said, that I am aware, I specifically mentioned University of South Africa because I'm aware of some of the anxieties that students there are having, and that's why we've instructed the board through the chairperson, working together with University of South Africa and the CEO of NSFAS to help us resolve that situation and make announcements as soon as possible.
Okay, so that's going to happen. Another thing is, I mean, one of the big things you spoke of, I mean, there's SETAs, there's NSFAS, and I know that we're going to address all of those. But one of the big things as well is you've announced this PSET Reengineering task team. And I know this is going to be a vital part of it all. Because exactly what you said. You look at the papers, there are jobs, but we are not equipping the youth. We've got an unemployment rate sitting at 46.1% of youth. And you know the African proverb that if the youth do not feel the warmth of the village, they will burn the village down to feel the youth, to feel the heat. And that's where we're at right now, Minister, is that the youth are feeling disempowered because they are not getting the skills to suit this new world. How are we going to sort this?
Look, I mean, we've got to go deeper into where the problem is. We have about 67% of students who completed TVET colleges who are not absorbed into workplaces so that they get their diploma. So we've got to intervene on that. The president made an announcement about 3 years ago that we must place 10,000. We want to be even bolder because we exceeded that mandate in the first year. So we want to be even bolder in terms of placing those students, because our experience is that when someone spends time in the institution and also in the workplace, their chances of employment becomes higher. Secondly, we have to reorientate the old technicons, which have been integrated into universities to become universities of technology or comprehensive universities, who were training technicians, engineers, of all sorts. And so we have to intervene in terms of, resuscitating the old workplace integrated learning, where, students who go to universities of technology also spend some time in the workplace. And we think that that will resolve, but we also have to, I said yesterday, we should not underestimate the value of any skill whatsoever. But what we need, this task team and everybody else to help think us through. And that's why I spoke about our partnership with business and similarly our partnership with labor, is what is the right formula of skills that we need in order to respond to our economic demand and resolve that pressing youth question. But finally, we also announced 3 major campaigns which will be rolling out together with the deputy ministers. One will be to help kids decide what careers they want to study for so that they stay in their program. Secondly, to help link young people who are not in school education or training, with some form of skills training in the suite of programs. And finally, target the 4 million people, adults who are functionally illiterate. So those are some of the key programs that we'll be looking at.
Minister, I wish we had more time.
Sure.
This is not enough, but I have to leave it there. Thank you for touching on some very important issues. That's the Minister of Higher Education and Training, Buti Manamela, talking about the department's reform plans to stabilise the education and training sector, including plans to establish a new student funding model.